not an issue. However, it is kind of an issue where I either want all of my equipment to be less than 150 horsepower, in which case having this is a bit of an extravagance because I'm never going to need the extra 50 horsepower that it supplies. Or the demands on it are going to be greater depending how much equipment I have that is more than 150 and less than 200. That didn't lower. There we go. So it does pay to think ahead when you're planning out your equipment purchases. As it is, what we're doing here is we're buying what we need as we need it, and hopefully we'll end up with a bunch of money coming in from selling stuff that we harvest, and exactly the equipment we need to reseed the fields. I generally look at case for, at least in Farm Sim 17, I generally looked at case for US farms. Obviously now John Deere's available, it's kind of a split. I did do a extended first look at a map called Rolling Hills, which currently seems to be frozen in time. The developer's not produced anything since Christmas, and it was only what I would consider partially complete. And I did set that one up with a bunch of case equipment. The case tractors are very nice. But I'm not sure that case is a particular popular tractor, at least in the UK. Or tractor brand in the UK, should I say. Now let's turn the engine off on that. And high. Places on different maps, so you can't place stuff because of obstruction yet. There's nothing. Yes, this was one of the maps that was having the problem of not being able to place equipment or buildings. And over where I've got the farmhouse and the vehicle shed was completely out of bounds last week when I first took a look at this map, and the map maker has corrected that problem, and that was part of the patch that came out today, which is why I'm restarting. This isn't a continuation of last week's extended look at. Hi Jaden, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. And so yes, a lot of the times I will buy equipment on a whim. Sometimes I will do a theme farm, like a New Holland farm. I think the first time I played Oldstream Farm in 17, I went with a New Holland theme, and then they re-released it version 2 with more fields, and I went with a Fent theme. And then they released it seasons ready, and I said, I've already restarted it once, I'm not going to do that again. But I will, I'll generally mix it up. This one, I haven't done a Fent farm since I played old streams a long time ago, good year and a half ago. So I figured, I can probably do a Fent, specifically Fent farm. The last Ravenport farm I did was a Massey Ferguson farm, because I have never done a significant amount of Massey Ferguson equipment. I typically go with Valtra as a starting lineup, at least when I first start playing Farm Sim. A new version of Farm Sim. I'll tend to use the Valtra N because it's a good flexible tractor that works well in pretty much all situations. Okay, that's done. I will move this out of the way. Doing on that. So we've got about 2,500 litres left in this trailer. And that's still running, so we'll keep up with this job. And then Law Folds, I've just got equipment as and when I needed it. And it really was a choice of what do I need right now. I believe the last tractor, well, okay, not the last tractor because I bought another Class 940. But the one before that was a Case 1455 XL. With the starting farms that we had in Farm Sim 19, typically you were given a couple of these, and I do like these tractors. They're very cheap, they're medium rated, and engine horsepower goes up to 261, which is quite a significant range. And 150,000, less than 150,000. That has a front 3-point and PTO. The only thing that I have an issue with is you can't put a front load of forks on it. But if I want a high horsepower tractor, that's a good starting point. The other tractor that I do like, obviously I generally went for the Valtra N, which is here, because once again this one will go up to 201 horsepower, but also gives you the option of a front loader, and then you've got all of the tyre options including narrows. Some tractors don't give you narrow tyres, but value for money, this one. You can have a front loader attacher, you can have 150 horsepower, all in for less than £100,000, dollars, euros, whatever you're playing with. So this is a great starting tractor, and if you're on a budget and playing multiplayer, it's a great starting tractor for multiplayer, because you can buy a bunch of them. And our first multiplayer on Ravenport, I bought 2 of the Case 710 Pros and 2 Fent 150Cs, just so that I had enough tractors for everybody. But since then I've tried to avoid using them quite so often. I've gone with the 150C here because A, it's cheap, and I know I'm going to need to spend a lot of money because I bought 6 fields again. Although I didn't buy a potato field this time, so I haven't had to fork out for a potato harvester, at least not yet. And also I've gone, at least in the tractor arena, for a Fendt theme. I'll probably do a case themed farm sometime as well. On New Bartleshaven, I decided I'd do an extended first look on New Bartleshaven, and I've decided I'm going to replace Estancia Lapacho with that map, at least for now. And it's a map with a large field, so warrants kind of larger equipment. So I went with the Class 940, which had just come out patched that day. Or, sorry, DLC that day. Mod, not DLC. What am I talking about? Anyway, yeah, just come out as a mod that particular day, and I also went with a JCB on that farm as well. Because I don't use JCB very often. But they are kind of useful. They've got the all-wheel steering. Oh, and now the smaller of the 2 JCBs allows for a front loader. I saw that Oxygen David had posted this week that Oakfield Farm is nearing completion. Now I'm kind of undecided what I'm going to put on that one at the moment. And I may swap out New Bartleshaven for Oakfield Farm, but I may get into that a little bit late. Fenton JCB overseas. Honestly, I'm not sure. I think Fendt is more of a European than US. I've seen Massey Ferguson's over here in the US. Predominant equipment where I live in Ohio, you're looking John Deere. Almost exclusively. This time of year, pretty much every large grocery store has a John Deere with a front loader parked in the parking lot for clearing snow. But there are a couple of farmers around here who have Massey Ferguson's instead. But I can't recall seeing any other class of tractor around here. Or manufacturers tractors around this area. The farm local to us he's got a couple of John Deeres, and he was baling up a field of grass last year. Not sure whether he was making silage bales or what, because I don't drive past his farm, I just drive past his fields. And he was running with a smaller John Deere, older model as well, with a round class baler on the back of it. Or round baler. Which was quite a surprise, because you don't see that you don't see that set up very often in this area. For tractors, I dislike the Fiat. If I get a farm that has a Fiat, that's probably one of the first things out to sell. So it's low horsepower, it's you can't do a front loader. Why did I do that? Yeah, that was unintended. So we might be able to unload the entirety of this into that tipper. And we did. Okay. So, one field complete. That's this one here. I didn't actually check to see what its state was, but it's going to need some ploughing, so we're going to need to buy a plough. It's the only field over here. Oh, 26, that's corn. Oh, sunflowers even. That's sunflowers, we'll skip that one. 27 is soybeans. That has potential. I think that's also wheat. We could do that. We could do the wheat and the barley and then come back up for yeah, this is the only field in this area that's late harvest, so it's probably going to disappear before long, and I didn't buy it anyway. So we'll come down, we'll do 11 because it's ready to harvest and has straw. 12 is ready to harvest, also has straw, and then we'll jump up to this one because there's no straw, and then finally we'll do 26. Because we'll need a header for that. So, let's get this thing rolling. And the Rustle Mash Harvester is also something I don't generally go with. I know a lot of the starting farms, especially if you do start from scratch, will start with the New Holland, which one? This New Holland. Some people will buy this as a economy buy, but I've used this one on Estancia Apache because it came out as a patch, as a mod on the same day as the map came out. And more recently I used this one, which is a slightly larger New Holland than this. Actually, I think I used this is the one I bought last time. It's 150,000. This is a lot cheaper. But you've got quite a choice of small harvesters. But I've tended not to go with the Rustle Mash because I really don't know where they're common. I think more Eastern Europe than anywhere else. Although they do have outlets in the UK, I've discovered. So 21's ready. 21 is ready to plough. And 10 needs to be ploughed as well. I'll probably get a subsoiler because they work fairly well. I don't think I want to take the expense of buying a a beet harvester for field 10, especially not considering how tight field 10 is. Okay, you can start. Okay. Of course, the other thing I could have done was to do the the soy next, and actually start ploughing up some of the fields with the 200 or 720. But oh well. And this isn't too big a trailer for this tractor. It's taken a little while to accelerate with it, but certainly not having issues pulling it. Of course, the advantage with the Strautmann is that it's you do have the option of putting a cover over it, which this one doesn't have. So you kind of want to avoid wet weather, not that I've seen that much. Okay. And the tipper only opens from the bottom, so... Okay, so full options for this shed or silo are wheat, barley, oats, canola, sunflower, soybeans, corn. That's your basic. Also potatoes, sugar beets, sugar cane, total mix rations, chaff, wood chips, silage, grass, hay, straw, manure, pig food, back to wheat. So quite a versatile storage facility. It's actually better than the old facilities on Old Stream Farm. We'll pull off to one side here. Okay, once again having issues with the far end of the field. This one will probably not take that long. I probably won't bother emptying this, I'll just keep running over to field 11. Keep going till it's full. Okay. At this point I'm not planning to plough any fields together, so I'll get the subsoiler because it erases the needs to be ploughed state on a field and does count as a cultivator as far as contracts is concerned. They have a 4 metre width and about 100 horsepower working width, so they're quite efficient. The regular ploughs need more power and generally a low working width as well. I just hit some of that. Once again, another awkward field. Kind of a prime candidate for taking out the hedge at the bottom and combining fields together. Yeah, if I'm able to, I'll use whatever tractor's available for a task. So if I wasn't actively collecting straw, I would probably park the Fendt off to one side, or the tipper off to one side, and go and get a plough and actually plough with the Fendt, the 150C. Okay, that's all collected, so I'm actually going to take this off and dump it. Which means we might be doing some ploughing next, or at least setting this off on a worker with a plough. I'll drop this over in the middle of the yard. And the other thing I would say right now is this tractor is probably a bit of an extravagance. Drop. Thank you. Because of the size of all the fields, I can't afford multiple seeders. I mean, obviously the field on the left that we just emptied, we could use a 6 metre seeder on that. But the field that we're currently harvesting, no, I'm not going to be able to. So, because the field's too tight to actually swing a larger seeder around in. So I'm only going to need a small seeder, which means I'm only going to need about 100 horsepower to run the seeder. Eventually I'll be moving into larger equipment as I'm able to knock down fences and hedges and plough into adjacent fields so that field sizes are larger. But for right now we're using very small equipment, and preferably equipment that mounts directly to the back of a tractor. So hence this. And this requires 140 horsepower, so I'll be able to run it off both tractors. Oh, excuse me. We've all been fighting coughs in the house, so my throat is a little bit sore today. Normally we don't have that problem, but with kids going to school, kids meet other kids have illnesses, kids bring illnesses home, and everybody gets it. We had a surprise visit from a social worker today. We were actually expecting the guy who's renovating the kitchen to come over. He said he would, but the job he was doing took a little bit longer than he expected, so he ended up not coming over, but someone else turned up at the same time he was supposed to have been here, so turned out to be a social worker for the younger of the two girls we have. Okay, so this is a sugar beet field which is ready to be harvested, and I am not going to be buying or even leasing sugar beet harvesting equipment on this playthrough, so I'm just going to plough it in. And what that's giving me is the second stage of fertilisation on this field, not really for free. I mean, the thing is I had to buy this field because it came with the yard. So it's not like I couldn't have bought this field and still have the area to put the sheds in. However, it does mean that, well, I've got to do something with it. And ploughing in a perfectly good crop for the fertiliser is perfectly sufficient. It does mean it's not a complete waste. I think the last week when I played this through, this had 2 stages of fertilisation, so ploughing it in didn't really give me any benefit. Just a bit. No worries. Again, another small field with very tight edges. Did the harvester stop? Yeah, the harvester has completed its job. Oh, we are running over crop. Okay, that's interesting. Are we actually destroying the crop such that the ploughing isn't actually counting for anything? I'll have to check that in a minute. I'll lift that up and have a look at the field state. So yes, that kind of sucks. We're deleting more of the crop with our tyres than we are ploughing it in with the plough. Ah well. We need to jump down there. Nope. Let's go. Oh, he finished his job. He didn't finish. He didn't fill up. Very close to being full here. So I need to be careful. I think we're going to get the entirety of this field in. It doesn't matter that I did destroy the crop. I'll just have to spend money on the fertilizer. Which while I would like to have saved some money, just running seed into field 10. The seeders I'm looking at all include fertilization as part of their abilities. Back up. There we go. Now obviously there's a couple of thoughts here.